Okay, so today we will make a rustic tin with red flowers. I'll be back now. Okay, so you can use any kind of tin that you want, or any old tin that is paper that I stained. It's very soft. It's that napkin, the back of the napkin, you will see that. Because for my tins I used only the top part. I don't use both layers. There's usually 2 layers in the napkins. I take it off at the back, but I don't throw it away. That back one is very nice and thin, so I stain it with either tea bags that's left. Use tea bags, or you can use coffee. I drink a lot of tea, so I use the tea bags. You will see I will just measure that napkin so that it fits my tin. That was a napkin that I used for something else also, and so the bottom part is still left. So I used it on this tin because it was available. You can use any design that you've got. I just want to keep it a little bit straight at the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter. And I don't use a scissors. I don't use scissors because I want that I'm going to make a whole vintage kind of effect, so I don't want it a straight cut. But that's why I used to tear it like that. Actually, I do it with almost all my projects. I don't use scissors to cut it out. Another way is also to use a paintbrush with a sharp point, and then you can put it in water, and if you go all around where you want to cut out your subject, you just wet it and it will tear also off, like I've done there. Okay, that is normal cold glue that I just want to make a little bit softer with a little bit of water. It's just to get that napkin to stick to you, to the tin. Obviously the best is if you paint your tin before the time, but because I want a very rustic kind of effect, that's why I did not paint my tin before I put my napkin on. You just have to apply a little bit of that water mixture that you've just made, piece by piece. Don't do the whole tin and then try and put your napkin on, because it's not going to work. See, I've got a straight line at the bottom with my napkin, and then I can follow the bottom of my tin. I'm not very fussy to get it straight without any wrinkles. It will just add to the effect. And that's why this tin is also working very nice, because it's not a very flat tin. It's got that little what do you call it, ruffeltjies there, so it will add to the texture. You don't have to have a solid straight flat tin. For some other projects obviously this will not work, but just to make a normal rustic tin, the whole idea actually was to make this to put on the outside for the people to use for their cigarette butts. But at the end I decided differently, because it came out nice and I use it now for something else. You will see at the end. Just stay tuned and you will see. It looks very nice. I like it. That's it. Just go all the way around. I was just lucky that this napkin is exactly the size of how thick the tin is. Otherwise then you will just cut it the way up to the end where it joins. Obviously the napkin is very soft at this stage because it's all totally wet. If you will touch it, it will definitely come off and tear away. So you will have to work soft. And the paintbrush is also not a very hard, stiff paintbrush. It's a soft paintbrush that I use there. Can you see I take my hand inside of the tin if I want to move it and not on the outside, because otherwise it sticks to your fingers because it's still wet. That is my tea stained backside of the napkins. I do have a lot of tea bags that I also open up and throw away the tea and use the bags. It's the same thing as this, but sometimes I just use this napkin backsides. Now I'll just add it with that same consistency. It's like a milk consistency of the wood glue. Any craft glue will work, and I know this will dry clear, so that's why it works so perfectly for me. Can you see that kind of a rustic that I fill it up on the white spaces of the napkin at the background? And when it will dry clear, and it will give you that old vintage effect. And I do make a few marks at the, let me see, yeah, it will make a few marks and it will be not very straight, but I don't mind. Can you see that I leave that little effect of it still there? That looks nice if you do it that way, and that's why I tear the paper and I don't cut it. I try to avoid my flowers. Usually when I go to the shops and I see some nice napkins, I will buy it even if I don't have a project in mind yet. I do have wildlife, actually the big 5 napkins that I also use on other projects, and that also very nice. So it depends on why you want to make the tins. You can just choose your napkins to fit that particular scene. Sometimes it's a event that you want to do and you just want to make some tins to put on the tables. Or if it's for a party, maybe for your kids or something, just get some paper napkins that's with one of the themes that your kid is in. Maybe it's dinosaurs or something, and you make a lot of tins and things you can add it with, but not specifically this tin. Use nice other different ones that you've got. Even plastic containers will work exactly the same than this. And you put the napkins on the side, and then you can also put it on the table, just for them to use as a napkin, but then you use it also to decorate your details for the table. There's a lot of themes that you can get in the shops. And you can always use this tins or the containers after the event also. You just give it that little patches of crackle and the old feeling of the tin. So that's why I did not paint the tin before I put the napkin on, is because I know that I wanted to do it this way for this kind of feeling. If I've got some other tins also, if I want to do something that's a little bit more, I don't want to say modern, but a little bit more out of the rustic vintage feeling, then I will first put a coat of paint at the tin, like white or a cream, and the color of the roses and the whole feeling of the tin, the effect will be totally different. But if you want to make it a vintage kind of effect, why do you want to paint it? Because this just add to the feeling of old and vintage. That looks actually already a little bit like an old tin. And it's so nice, you can just tear a little bit of the pieces of the napkin the way that you want it. The way it comes out, put it on. That's the way it is, and it looks nice. There's no right way or wrong way with this thing. You will always have a masterpiece when you're finished. Can you see there at the bottom it tear away a little bit more, but it's not a problem because then it looks like that's what you wanted. Because the napkin is so soft of the glue, the water glue, then it will tear very easily. But I just work with it from the inside to the outside of your either the tea bags or your napkin backside. Just stick it all wherever it goes. Just stick it on. And it dries so nicely. If it's totally dry, you will see it looks so nice. And when you start to want them, you just want to make another one and another one. It just keeps going on, and you see all the possibilities. And when you go into that shops and you see all the napkins, you can just see all the tins that you make. I think you can actually get addicted to this and make a lot of tins. Okay, I use this tin actually open at the end of the this whole project, but you can also make some lids to put on the tin if you want to use it for something that you want to put inside. This is an acrylic red paint. I use obviously the red because my flowers is red. I just want to finish off the sides. Obviously it's not necessary to do it, but I like to just give that little extra finish to some of my projects. If you do something, then give it a little bit of oomph, and then it just looks a little bit more as if you wanted to do it and not leave it halfway. And you use so small amount of paint that it's actually really worth you doing it. And to be honest, I did not leave the tin to first dry all the way. It was halfway dry, and then I start, because if I start something I want to finish it. That's a very bad thing about me. I really need to leave some of the things first and then do something else. But if I go with something, I just want to finish it because I want to start something else, But if you're more patient than me, leave the tin until it's dry, and then you can start with the painting of the sides. Only the bottom and the... You can even do the whole bottom at the bottom itself and not only the rim. I think, if I remember correctly on this one, I just do the top and the bottom because the plan was actually to use it outside. So then I don't care if it get damaged. It wasn't that much work. You can just throw it away or do it over again because the tin will not damage. That will always stay, but maybe your picture or something can damage. But if you seal it, at the end of the video you will see I seal the whole tin. It can be outside in the rain and the weather, sun. It will not damage. It's actually very durable that you can use it outside. Obviously, I like this one when it was finished, so I decided to use it inside. See, now it looks much better when it's finished off, just at the rim. And it's not that lot of work, and it doesn't take that much of paint. Obviously, if you want to be fancy, you can also paint the tin inside. Okay, now this is my layer that I seal the paper. Obviously, you still need to work very soft with it, because that is also making the napkin wet, and it still can tear away. So you can see I brush only one direction just to keep it soft with a soft brush, and you can put it on very nice and thick, because the more thick you put it on, the more durable it will be. You can use normal Mod Podge, anything like that that you usually seal your artwork with. And that's it. Now I use it for my flowers.